One of our favorite segments here on Good Morning Vail is the Epic Locals series, where we learn a little bit about the background of some of our community members here who have some pretty amazing stories. And this morning, Jeff Evans is here to talk a little bit about this with us. You just heard about his work with Christie Sports, and now we're going to hear a couple of interesting stories from your storied past.
Yeah.
How's it going, Jeff?
My sordid past.
Sordid, not storied. Okay. So I was just hearing a story a little bit. We were just talking through this. I saw a photo one time of you jumping out of a tram car, and that prompted a great story here where you ended up actually being a Secret Service actor in a James Bond film, right?
It wasn't a James Bond film, but it was a Willie Bogner film, and Willie filmed all the James Bond movies.
There we go.
So, this was kind of one of his offshoots,
Sure.
and it was really a fun thing. And like I say, I got to jump out of the tram, so that was it was a prestigious deal. There were like 17 of us sitting around a table, and Willie said, in his German accent, "Who wants to jump out of the tram?" And I was like, "I'll do it."
Yeah.
And then it was with another guy, and that guy was my coach, and he looked at me and went, "If he does it, I'm doing it." And so it was, and it's kind of this infamous picture that shows up every once in a while, in Powder Ski Magazine. It's cool.
Wow. Well, it was a great shot, and that's pretty incredible that you got to participate in that and hang with Roger Moore a little bit, I heard, too. Right?
Yeah, it was an interesting period, and it was so long ago that it's almost like my other life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you kind of had another life for a while. You were in Snowbird for 30 years, you said?
Yeah, I was in Snowbird for a while, and Christie Sports called me and said, would you consider moving to the Vail Valley? Mm-hmm. And I went, I don't know. So I loaded up the kids. We drove over. They looked and said, we could live here.
Yeah. And you've been here ever since.
And I've been here ever since, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're one of those guys in the ski industry around here that's made a huge mark on the Vail Valley in particular, and I'm curious, for a guy like yourself that's so ingrained in the ski industry, what is your choice, set of runs on Vail Mountain on a given powder morning? Where are you headed?
I gotta say that probably my favorite run, just simply because I used to come here I was a mogul skier, and I used to come here to compete, as Lukma.
Oh, that's as good as it gets.
That's epic. I mean, you talk about epic runs that, from the beginning of freestyle in the early, mid 70s, it was always Lukma.
Yeah.
And then I, as an athlete, I got to come over here and actually compete on it.
Wow.
It was cool. Yeah.
And Lukma, that's for nowadays, people maybe aren't so familiar with the fact that for years Lukma was the competition mogul run on Vail Mountain, right?
Yeah, and there's, there's a lot of history to that. I mean, the infamous run, Shane McConkey.
Yeah. Shane McConkey stripping down naked and flying off that thing.
And how can you beat that? I mean, come on.
It's a great scene from that movie, McConkey. I mean, what a classic scene from Vail Mountain history.
Yeah, and Vail does have a ton of history, and there's a lot that happens here, and and I mean, it's just going to push forward.
Yeah, that's great, Jeff. So great to speak with you this morning. As always, good to see you. We're headed up to Ashley Pearl for a look at the weather. Hang tight.